I think with most conversations that I've had, especially on Decoded, this is something that's very common with other founders as well, is we know that education is the main thing lacking for new users, the ability to actually understand how to get in, how it works.
That's how we started Pundi X, a mission to really get unbanked people into the banking world through crypto.
The most obvious use case for digital currencies is to be able to spend it on real world assets like supermarkets, things like that.
We are on a very special mission, and this is actually our 6th year doing this. Very big challenge in the crypto market is real adoption.
I know you guys are solving real world problems, which is not that common in the Web3 space.
Our focus is to try to get that adoption out. Recently, one of the exciting growth market that we are experiencing is actually Turkey and also in South Africa. We are regulated under the Singapore Central Bank, so we want to be very compliant. And in that particular shop in Grand Bazaar, they function more as the former, which is a physical OTC. By the end of the day, we see ourselves as blockchain as a service provider for physical adoption.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Decoded by Devers. I'm your host, Dina Matar, and today we have Zac Cheah, the co-founder and CEO of Pundi X. Hi, Zac. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, Dina. Pleasure to be here.
Pleasure to have you. I like to start these interviews with maybe for you to tell us a little bit about yourself, your personal background, and how you've come to develop and co-found Pundi X.
Sure. So I have a background in computer science, and before Web3, obviously, like many of us, we work in Web2. And the reason why we actually dive into Pundi X was that I was actually building a fintech company, right, in Southeast Asia in a developing market. And we realized that there were so many unbanked people that it was actually hard to imagine for, in certain markets. And we realized that, hey, since there's so many people that are unbanked, so many people that don't have a bank account or a bank card, what's the best way to actually get this group of people into financial inclusion? And interestingly, the answer that came to us was actually crypto, digital currency. And we started with QR, so people could actually use QR as a form of like payments, acceptance. And from there, we actually also moved into crypto. And what really dawned upon us is that it wasn't only a requirement for Indonesia, right, which with a 220 million population. It's actually a requirement for everyone, for the unbanked, for the bank. So that's how we started Pundi X, a mission to really get unbanked people into the banking world through crypto. And from there, we actually kind of like branch into or also pivoted into to get people to be able to use crypto for on-ramp, off-ramp, and spending crypto. So I think we are on a very special mission. And this is actually our 6th year doing this, which is to enable crypto adoption globally, wherever you are. Yeah.
It's really cool because, the most obvious use case for digital currencies is to be able to spend it on real world assets like supermarkets, things like that. And I feel like from, what I've seen from you guys have been doing that quite successfully. So maybe if you can talk a little bit about the vision and, where you guys are going from here. So I know you guys are solving real world problems, which is not that common in the Web3 space. There's thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of projects in the industry. So I'd like to hear a bit more about, I know you have a lot of different solutions. So maybe if you can tell us a little bit about each of those solutions and how they would be kind of used in the real world.
Sure. So I think one of the challenges in the crypto world, right? I mean, most of us just came back from conference circuits, some of us from token 2049. And I think very big challenge in the crypto market is real adoption. So companies that are very focused on getting the adoption, which enable a Bitcoin, Ethereum, or whatever to be able to be used in a real life situation. So our focus is to try to get that adoption out. So we have been very actively promoting, and recently one of the exciting growth market that we are experiencing is actually Turkey and also in South Africa. But of course, we are in 30 countries and each market is quite unique. So there are people that want to go to those markets and say, hey, I want to exchange my a local fiat for BTC, because my faith is in the digital currency. But there
Right.
are also markets that want to experiment with CBDC, right? So, for example, in Singapore, which we are HQ in, the government, the central bank is actually looking at and exploring CBDC. And the term that they are coining this is actually called purpose-bound money. So the money has a purpose, which is to execute certain things. So I think if CBDC were to become a very widespread phenomenon in Singapore, which we hope can be the crypto island, right, for others to follow upon. So I think if that comes to fruition, one very critical point is, what is your last mile? Your last
Mm-hmm.
mile for people to accept that purpose-bound money, or that last mile for people to spend your Bitcoin. So I think we are, by some metric, the world's biggest last mile. So we would like to call ourselves the world's biggest physical crypto exchange store. So when you step into your convenience store, you can actually use your favorite crypto to buy your cup of coffee. Yeah.
Okay, can you tell us how that would work for a consumer? So what would the process be for someone who actually wants to maybe test this out, maybe try it, to actually be able to download this? Like, what's the process?
Sure, Dina. So I think the best example is one shop that we just launched this week, in fact, in Grand Bazaar in Istanbul, the oldest market bazaar. And when you go to that shop in the Grand Bazaar, it's actually labeled as a Pundi X store. So you can actually
Okay.
go there and say, hey, I have Turkish lira, or I have Bitcoin, and I want to buy digital currency, or I want to sell digital currency. So I would actually, me as a consumer, would actually hand fiat to the shop owner, and the shop owner would then transact the crypto of your choice into my wallet, the consumer's wallet. And the consumer's wallet can be a wide variety. It can be Trust Wallet, it can be Rainbow Wallet, it can be MetaMask. In fact, it can also be a physical card, which we offer, which we call a PX card. And all of them are actually what we call non-custodial. So it doesn't matter if Pundi X, the company, is still around in 50 years' time. It is actually living on the blockchain, which means that we actually live and breathe the ethos of, one, promoting adoption. Second, your asset should be on chain, should be on the blockchain. So so it's really as simple as going to a shop, like exchanging foreign exchange when you visit a new country. Yeah.
Okay, so I want to dive a bit more into that aspect. So for what you guys do with, for example, this bazaar in Turkey, in Istanbul, is it almost like you can use the crypto to purchase your items from there, and it also kind of works as an OTC desk? Is that how it is?
Yeah, that's a very good observation. So two functions. One is actually an OTC desk-ish, right? Physical OTC. So
Yeah.
in that instant I've given, it is more of a physical OTC, right? So you actually go to the shop to exchange one fiat currency for digital currency. That is one function. Another function with our device, our Expose device, is for people to actually spend using our Expose device. So there are two functions. And in that particular shop in Grand Bazaar, they function more as the former, which is a physical OTC. But you also have
Okay.
shops that, say, for example, a cafe, right? So they can
Yeah.
also use our solution, our hardware device. And in that instance, right, in that cafe, it's probably not functioning as an OTC. It's
Right.
probably functioning as a place where people can actually spend their favorite, say, Pundi X token to buy their cup of coffee.
Okay, interesting. So throughout this whole throughout this answer you gave, you mentioned the PX card, your physical XPOS system, and also I presume also there's a physical card and there's an app, I presume, right? You guys have an app, which is how I
Correct.
think most. And
Correct.
would that be like, for instance, if someone doesn't have a card, does it work like an Apple Pay? or like
Correct.
Google
So,
Pay? Okay.
yeah, so I think we want to make it as easy to onboard for a person, right? So, I mean, just for example, Dina, assume it's your first time trying to get crypto, right? So
Hmm.
you probably, or you might have your app with you, right? You might have an app that you want to receive your crypto. If you
Yeah.
don't have the app, we can actually give you a card, a physical card, the PX card, for you to receive it. But if you already have an app, and if it's a non-custodial app, right, which means that you can actually store crypto on the app without really with your ownership of the private key. So, for example, a Trust Wallet or a MetaMask app, then we can actually transfer those tokens, those crypto into the app of your choice. Which in
Okay.
other words, we support thousands of apps in the market from the get-go.
So I don't even have to hold the token. I can just go into anywhere that says like, like where it has Pundi X on it, and then just say, oh, can I just, give you this cash and you can just transfer me this crypto into any of my wallets?
Correct. And
Wow.
I think one thing that makes us really unique is that we are blockchain agnostic and we are token agnostic. So, for example, I mean, just random example, if someone is a fan of Binance Smart Chain, so they can
Mhm.
actually acquire their stable coin on Binance Smart Chain. But another person says, I'm a Bitcoin maxi, right? So I'm
Mhm.
my belief is in Bitcoin. So you can get your token on the Bitcoin network. So we see ourselves as token agnostic, just
Very
like a
cool.
foreign exchange store is like, fiat currency agnostic. They can accept any kind of fiat. So as do we any kind of cryptocurrency.
Amazing. So can you tell me a bit about this? Let's go first into this PX card, because I think that's something that a lot of users are looking to get into. I think I saw or I heard something about you guys did release like a limited number of cards. I don't know if that was the PX card or a different card. I know you have a very substantial amount of products that you guys have launched. So I'd like to know, is that something that you have coming out? Is that something that's coming out soon? Or like if it's already been released?
Sure. So PX card in its very essence is actually a hardware wallet. We don't
Mhm.
like to call it a hardware wallet because it's a very slim piece of card, just like the card that you use for your metro or your MRT. Very, very slim.
Okay.
But in it is actually a very secure card. And it's not us that says it. It's actually a company called Infineon. So they are actually one of the biggest, if not the biggest, tech company in Germany, and they are famed for producing chips. So most of the MRT Metro card is actually powered by them, so as some of the Visa and Mastercard. So we are the only crypto company that is using their solution. So user can actually acquire that card, and as you said, we do have limited version of different partnerships that we do. So we might be coming out with another limited version, partnering with a big Web3 company. So different times, different limited edition for different people to collect. Yeah.
Amazing. So with the system that you guys currently have, like you mentioned that you have it in, it's the presence is grown in Istanbul. Where else can this be used?
Yeah. So we have sold our expos to over 30 markets. And the question of where is the next market, right? Where can the next market deploy? I think it depends on two things. One is the interest on the ground, which
Mhm.
usually is actually high,
Very
right?
high. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Of course, markets like say Argentina is obviously higher than the rest because how devalued the fiat currency is. But I think
Mhm.
by and large, there's a lot of interest in different markets, say in Dubai, because people want to use Bitcoin to buy their favorite high ticket items. The second
Yeah.
thing that dictates whether we can go into a market is actually the regulatory stance of the
Mhm.
local government. I think that presents the biggest challenge
Yeah.
for us, to be honest. So we want to be very compliant because we are regulated under the Singapore Central Bank. So we want to be very compliant. So whether to enter a country to a sizable extent depends on the regulatory friendliness of, using crypto. So if a country doesn't want their people to spend crypto to buy their coffee, or to exchange their local fiat for crypto, then it presents a challenge for us. But I think the number of countries are really growing, and we see that some countries even want to deploy their CBDC, which means widespread adoption. So I think we are very excited with those countries that are really pushing forward the frontier.
Just touch on that. So how, I think this is again going back into the XPOS system. So if someone has that and some like a consumer is paying with crypto, but they decide they want to pay with, I don't know, hypothetically, I don't know if you guys will take like meme coins or if that will be an option, but like, let's say any token, and then the merchant or the person who is, completing this transaction, are they receiving that token, or are they receiving like is it like that they receive actual dollars or fiat, whatever it may be, and then that token is held somewhere else? Like how does that process go? Because I feel like this is also, because you are very, like you said, token agnostic, chain agnostic. If someone is paying with a currency that they don't even want anymore, if I'm buying a coffee and I'm like, oh, I'll just use this because I don't really want to hold this token, does the merchant now hold this token, or is there like, is it off ramped? And then
That's a very good question. So the majority of our merchant choose to hold the equivalent amount in their local currency, which means that, say today I actually spend my ETH to buy coffee, right? And the merchant would actually receive the local fiat currency. So for example, if it's in the US, right? So the merchant would receive $3 amount of that coffee. So he doesn't, he
get
isn't
$3 of ETH
exposed to what we call the volatility of the crypto price. So most merchants choose to accept the fiat equivalent. There are a small amount of merchant that wants to accept a crypto. Those are like very crypto savvy merchants, but I think that would be more of the outlier rather than the norm. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. I think that specific point or like that factor would be quite beneficial, I think, specifically with regulations, especially, if you're trying to go into a new market. I think that feature alone would be very, very valuable, because I think that the regulatory like systems all over when it comes to crypto, there's obviously this divide. So if there's that flexibility of being able to spend it, but people are not, it's just kind of just spending it, no one's keeping it unless you decide to as the merchant. But I don't imagine, unless it's ETH or Bitcoin, I don't imagine people will really keep it, maybe. And I also don't see people who are very, crypto verse, like if they're very involved in the crypto space, I don't imagine that they would spend Bitcoin or ETH for coffee. So it would be very interesting to see how that does play out. So you mentioned, so you guys are based in Singapore. You have, this is also available in Istanbul. And you mentioned, is it also available in Argentina? Because I know we touched on that.
We have a bit of deployment in Argentina. So some people actually bought our Xpos devices, but I wouldn't say that we have created a mass scale network in Argentina. So I think there is work to be done there. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. So I know we talked about a few of the challenges, which is mainly the main challenge is obviously the regulatory system in whatever market you enter. What other has that been the most challenging aspect of implementing the XPOS system, or has there been other challenges that you found to be maybe quite unique?
Right. I think one word to explain our challenge is actually education. It is to educate the people, to actually tell them about how to operate these services, the expo. So I think that is the education part plays an important role in adoption. So for example, in Turkey, we believe we are really growing really fast because people actually understand how the process is. Because I think many people that use our services are trying to onboard themselves to a digital currency world, which for them is actually fairly new, right? So, I mean, for us, what crypto native, we do a lot of this on crypto exchanges. But for us, we actually serve a huge amount of mom and pops, a salary person, which is actually trying to convert, perhaps for the first time, his or her salary into crypto. So I think for us, it's really to kind of like help them to cross the psychological, what's it called, barrier to actually onboard themselves. So I think education on that part is very important. And also education on the crypto company part is also equally important, because the truth is right now, most of the crypto company are very focused on the token price, the trading part, and there are really too few focus on the crypto adoption. So I think crypto company owners also have to realize that, true adoption, people can actually spend their money, a token in real life, which I think really brings it to another different level. Yeah. So education on the consumer part and also the crypto company part.
No, I think those are very valid points. I think education has been, I think with most conversations that I've had, especially on Decoded, this is something that's very common with other founders as well, as we know that education is the main thing lacking for new users, the ability to actually understand how to get in, how it works. And for a lot of companies who are trying to get involved in, new markets, I mean, for you guys, it's crucial.
I think the developed market also has a very strong use case. Like people want to spend their Bitcoin to buy a car, for example. I think that is very interesting. Yeah.
I think that's what, in Dubai, a lot of people do that actually. So a lot of people buy with crypto, not necessarily sure like with what, under what license. I know this is something that we were looking into, I think, after speaking with you guys, to try to see where, Pundi X would fit in this region, how, because the barriers to enter here is not going to be as difficult as many other places. What kind of partnerships would you find to have the most value from, like, to gain, and also like mutually beneficial, obviously, but what partnerships do you think would be the most valuable to you?
Yeah. So this is actually our 6th year operating the expos in different markets. And we realized that for us, the most meaningful partners are teams that are very committed to the crypto adoption journey. Of course, it is a business. We should run it profitably. But I think working with people that are very committed, that believe in this cause, is very, very important. And the reason why is because, in Web3, there are certain partners that are, bull friendly, but bear, when it's bear, they are, like not so. So I think,
that's everywhere. Go on.
So I think finding partners in the local market that have the know-how, that is willing to, really roll out the sleeve and deploy. I think that it's the most important partner that we wish to find. This is one. And second one is actually a national level partnership, because CBDC is a reality. It's not whether it will, but it is when, right? So when countries roll out CBDC, they will need partners like us. So we want to be the enabler for the CBDC. So working with national level agencies for that is something that we are very focused on. So yeah, so this is also one part.
Amazing. So what do you hope to, or what's your vision for the next, I know you guys are 6 years in, you mentioned, over the next 6 years, what do you hope to achieve, and where do you hope Pundi X to be?
So I think the team, many people in the company, our vision, our dream is that in the next 6 years, for example, we will be able to step onto a street, whether it's in Singapore or elsewhere, and people can actually use the crypto in their crypto app to do meaningful things, not just trading on crypto exchanges, but to be able to buy their coffee, or they would be able to use the local fiat to buy a crypto. So I think that is our vision, to really make it something that is adopted in a real life, real world.
Yeah, that's a good one. For the OTC desk aspect of what you guys have implemented, there must be like limitations. Oh, let's say someone's coming in there and they're saying, I want to give you, 1 Bitcoin and I want it in your currency, like in Istanbul. Like
Right.
how much would, like would they actually even be able to give that to them in cash, for instance?
Right. So I think that really the first requirement that we want to make sure is compliance, right? So if a person actually comes to a shop and say, "Hey, I want to sell 1 Bitcoin," and in return, what's the price today? I don't know. Is it 27? So I want
I
to get
think it's 27.
27, right?
Yeah.
So I want to get 27,000 US dollar, or 27,000 US dollar of my equivalent of local fiat. So I think the first thing the merchant will do is that, we need to onboard you, we need to KYC you. So once KYC, then once you are clear, the local regulatory allows that to happen, then we would actually transact the amount to you, whether in cash or in other forms. So of
Okay.
course, liquidity has to be there. So if a shop is only doing, like, say, 5,000 on average a day, right? So if you get a 50,000, then they would have liquidity issue. But I think that it's not a problem in itself. It's a good problem to have for the shop and for us.
Yeah. Okay, no. I was just curious because I can imagine, especially with the lira, the Turkish lira, that would be a lot. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure if like a small little merchant would be able to have it. But so this KYC process you guys are pushing, is that only kick in when it's like a specific amount of funds that are going to be requested, or is it from day dot you need to, once you know start using Pundi X, like you would need to KYC?
Sure. So we need to KYC first on our side, the merchant, right? So
Right.
if a merchant wants to open a shop, a Pundi X physical exchange store, we need to KYC the merchant, and we also need to KYC, with the help of the merchant, user that are doing an exchanges in those stores physically. And I think the limit of the user or the merchant really depends on one, the market that they are operating in. So in one market, the limit can be higher. In another market, the limit will be lower. So it's really case by case, market dependent. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that would be really interesting. And I think I can visualize the next 6 years being very fast. Well, I think it'll happen a lot quicker for you. Specifically now that I think Hong Kong is also very obviously a very good place to start with that.
Yeah.
The UAE is amazing to be for. It will be an amazing place for you guys to be, because I
Yeah.
think here it's most, a massive crypto market here. A lot of people here in the industry, and a lot of people here look for ways and places to actually spend their crypto, or buy a car with crypto, buy properties. Like that's just, there's so many different, I think, areas for you guys to come into.
Yeah. I think Dubai and UAE functions as like a magnet for crypto believers. So the
Absolutely.
last time that we were there, when we spoke, you really see people from all over the world, and they are very positive and very excited
Yeah.
to go into that journey. Yeah.
I think it's like it is a hub at the moment for, for the industry. I mean, it's a beautiful place. Obviously, it's full of luxury, and then crypto is just the cherry on top. So, Zach, before we head, I wanted to hear about, some of the big partnerships that you guys have had in the past and present.
For the crypto partnership, we do try to get as many partners and to be agnostic as possible. But of course, there are a few that are quite signature for it. So for example, user of Binance Pay can actually use our expos to acquire crypto through their Binance Pay. So I think that is one. The second one is that we see a lot of growth on the Tron blockchain. There's a lot of traction on the Tron blockchain, and we are actively engaging Tron to see what we can do next. So that might be something that we will come out next.
No, sorry, I was just going to ask, for the system, is it a physical XPOS system that, like the physical hardware that you guys have to go to everyone to give, or is there easy for anyone to just download a specific software? So can anyone join?
Sure, that's a very good question. We have two models. One is that people can actually acquire our XPOS, which is a physical point of sale, very sleek. It's white in design, and in fact, you can actually go to Amazon and buy one just like that. So that is our XPOS. And we also work with a lot of point of sales company, and we allow our Android app to be installed in their point of sale. So we can embed our software into different point of sales in the market as well. So we do have our own physical hardware, which is called XPOS, but we are able to actually get our software into Android point of sales to actually, go with existing point of sales in the market. So these are like two approaches. So by the end of the day, we see ourselves as a blockchain as a service provider for physical adoption. So whatever that we can do to get ourselves nearer, we will explore. Yeah,
that's really good. I think it's great to actually have covered that, the fact that anyone can, like any merchant or anyone who has a shop, can just download that or like get it from on their own POS system. So that's quite impressive. That's all we have today, Zac, but thank you so much for joining. It was very, very insightful. Loved hearing everything you had to say. So thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Dina. It's a pleasure speaking to you.
We'll definitely do this again. I know you guys have a lot more developments coming out, so hopefully in the next 6 to 12 months we can jump back on and get a great update and see how we've progressed. Take care.
All right.
Thanks, Zac.
Thanks,
Zac. See you. Bye.
See you.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye.